Joining us now is Dr. Shmuel Katz, one of the leading activists in the United States for Israel advocacy, one of the founders of the organization Stand With Us. Shalom.
It's a pleasure being with you and discussing important topics to the benefit of all our listeners.
So what specific challenges or pressures do you foresee the Biden administration applying to Israel in its remaining weeks, and how should Israel prepare to navigate them? For example, are there any diplomatic moves or agreements you think the outgoing administration might push Israel to accept before the transition?
This is a very important question, and it has to be considered in today's dynamics. We are only a couple of weeks away from the change of the administration in the United States. And for some reason, there are revolutions going all over the world. And the Biden administration will have to face reality and try to address them wisely if they want to keep any legacy standing to the benefit of the United States and their own administration. Therefore, Israel has to consider all the variables very seriously. But first of all, they have to make sure that safety and security of the state of Israel is maintained, especially when the future is really difficult to predict based on the dynamics in the region. As for military pressure, unfortunately, to my understanding, there was a military pressure on Israel from the United States by slow walking a variety of military equipment that Israel needed for its function. At the same time, Israel still has a lot of military equipment that they can use in order to advance its security and to defend the country from all the rebels and other bad operatives who are trying to undermine Israel and the international community, where Israel is standing at the front to protect Israel and the West at the same time. As for the political pressure, this variable too has become something different today than it was yesterday. Today, Hamas is out of power, Hezbollah is out of power, Syria is falling apart, Iran is not as strong as people thought it is, but there the big concern is the nuclear powers that Iran may try and develop in these days under all this confusion that's going on in the region. So also in the diplomatic way, the United States should be able to try and reverse a little bit the support to Iran. I'm confident that President Trump will be more aggressive in that field. But the Biden administration, I think, must have some second thoughts about what they were doing up till today by supporting a variety of organizations which are working against the United States, against Israel, and against the West in general. And the important point is for people to understand is that Israel is not fighting only the fight of Israel. It's a fight for the freedom across the globe. So there is some expectations from the current Biden administration, but it's very difficult to predict due to the dynamics in the region.
In your opinion, how can Israel strengthen its position for bipartisan support amidst a politically polarized America?
I think that the important variable that many people don't pay attention to is the importance of proper education. When people will understand that their own skin is in the game, and I don't care if you are on the right, on the left, or anywhere in between, but if you allow radical Muslims, radical right-wingers, radicals, anybody, to undermine the United States as a country, everybody is going to be losing their future. And therefore, the way that Israel can go ahead and try and make sure that people understand where they stand, who are the bad operatives in the field, and how they'll be able to improve the future down the road. One of the biggest concerns is that some of these bad operatives have in their ideology the concept that they are allowed to lie and deceive all the target audiences. And they'll achieve their goals under pretexts which are not realistic. And once they get into power, they're going to take over and control the whole system based on their own ideology, not based on their own promises and conversations in the past. And therefore, education is the key And once people understand where the skin is leaning for and where the safety is, I hope that both parts of the government will understand that you cannot support evil.
Now, what precisely are the beliefs of radical Islam that Israel must highlight today to Americans?
Today, the information is openly available across the globe. This is an interesting website, memory.org. What they do, they translate the messages from a variety of radical sources. Should they be in mosques, should they be in parliaments, should they be in the street, should they be in newspapers? And they translate it into English so everybody can read it and understand it in plain language. Because they don't hide their messages. They don't hide their intentions. They'll tell you in your face that Israel is a little Satan, the United States is a big Satan. They are looking for world domination. So the information is there. The only thing what we need to do is to be able to reach the information, educate ourselves, and make sure that we are not being played by bad operatives.
Dr. Katz, with the fall of the Assad dictatorship in Syria, what opportunities does this open up for Israel?
Israel is facing a very interesting dynamics in the Middle East. One of the biggest challenges that Israel has is that systematically the youth and the adults in the Middle East and even in other places are being brainwashed with the wrong ideology. You don't change ideology overnight. You have to educate people for peace, and this takes some time. The situation in Syria is very fluid because there are so many operatives who are trying to get involved in the dynamics on that region. Should they be the Turkish government? Should it be Iran? Should it be Syria itself? Should it be the Russians? Should it be different factions of ISIS and other terror organizations? Where is it going to end up? We don't know yet. But Israel is to make sure that it's still the beacon of light for the free world, and therefore the safety of security of Israel is so important. For instance, a demilitarized zone between Israel and Syria has to be controlled by Israel, because otherwise, if you have terrorists controlling the border on the other side, it's going to be only days away from another problem that we might face in Israel from terror organizations who are trying to move into Israel after being emboldened by facing the Assad regime. So the hopes are great. The intentions are not clear. We'll see the intention of a nation when we see what to educate the kids in the schools with. If they'll start educating the kids for peace and cooperation with the countries in the region, I think the hope is going to be wonderful to the entire region. This will have to be implemented not only in Syria, but also in Lebanon, and also in Egypt, and also in Jordan, in every country that wants to live in peace into the future. They have to educate the children today in order to have a peaceful tomorrow. And it will take you some time to achieve it, because education takes time. In the meantime, Israel has to maintain its strength, its wisdom, and its ability to collaborate with whoever wants to collaborate with it. Because even within those countries, many people want peace, but they cannot even voice their voices because they're afraid from their peers and from the terrorists who are amongst them. So let's hope for a better future tomorrow.
Dr. Shmuel Katz, thank you very much for joining us.
It was a pleasure being with you. I hope people will learn from it and start thinking about realistic terms and educate themselves in order to build their own future for tomorrow.